are back. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back to Weather for Weather Geeks. We had a pretty decent day today, but things will be not so nice over the next couple of days, and we've got some chilly weather to talk about next week. And coming up at the end of the video, we'll talk more about the upcoming winter forecast, which debuts 1 week from tonight on 21 News and here on my online venues, if you will. All right, today started with some fog, but as you'll see on this time lapse, actually turned out to be a pretty decent stretch of weather late morning, early afternoon as the low cloud deck cleared, allowed for some sun for a few hours. That allowed temperatures to rebound into the 60s, and then clouds thickened up as we got into the evening. So 64, the high today. This will be the last time we see 64 for a while, probably for at least a couple of weeks. Our average is here on the 28th day of October, 57 and 39. 39 is what our low was very early this morning before clouds and fog rolled back in. The records today 77 and 25 degrees. All right, a couple of showers trying to make inroads from the south and west. Some of this is not reaching the ground just yet, but more legitimate rain is down towards Interstate 70. Zanesville over to Columbus, and more wet weather is lurking to our south and west as low pressure spins near the boot heel of Missouri, south of St. Louis, down towards Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and towards Memphis, Tennessee. And that low pressure system is in no hurry. It's going to very slowly work east over the next 48 hours or so. So rain becomes more and more likely as we head through the night tonight, and just plan on a soggy start to our Friday with steady rain, maybe even some pockets of heavier rain as Friday gets underway. Actually, for tomorrow, the Weather Prediction Center, part of the National Weather Service, if you will, does have eastern Ohio, the Panhandle of West Virginia, and a lot of Pennsylvania outlined in the low-end flash flood risk. I'm not real concerned about flooding around here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did have some pockets of fairly heavy rain for a time during the first half of the day on Friday. When we total up all the rain from late tonight through the daylight hours Saturday, we probably end up with close to an inch. The graph model is kind of this turquoise line right here, kind of blue line. That shows amounts a little bit higher, but if you remember last evening I showed you these models and the NAM was way up here around 2 inches. The NAM has kind of come to its senses and has joined the general consensus here of an average of about an inch. Now, could someone see an inch and a half or even close to 2 inches? Someone could, yes, but that won't be the region-wide average. I think the region-wide average will be about 1 inch. But the whole day is not going to be wet tomorrow, and that should keep those rain totals generally in check. If it were going to be a soaking rain all day, we'd be more concerned about flooding. But this is actually going to try to taper off some as we get into the afternoon, back to kind of a scattered shower regime late in the afternoon, early in the evening hours, and then as low pressure just sort of meanders through Saturday, a few showers will come and go. It's not going to rain all day, but showers will come and go under a thick cloud cover, and then by Sunday, we hang on to the clouds, the threat for a shower in the morning. In the afternoon, clouds may part for a little bit of sun, but most importantly, it should be dry for most trick-or-treaters later in the day on Sunday. All right, high school football playoff action Friday evening. For our games Friday evening, chance for a shower, yes. Probably nothing all that heavy. And it could be colder at this time of the year, lower 50s. Our temperature targets, and while there will be some high school playoff games Saturday afternoon, we also have the Penguins in action in Youngstown at YSU, taking on South Dakota State at 2 p.m. Penguin game day forecast, good chance for showers, and much like Friday evening, temperatures Saturday afternoon will be in the lower 50s. Daytime highs this weekend, 54 Saturday, 56 on Sunday. Trick-or-treaters Saturday evening, good chance for some showers. Sunday evening trick-or-treat, lower chances of rain, should be dry, and under a mostly cloudy sky. All right, we have not had a freeze yet this season. In fact, we really haven't come close officially at the airport. Pretty good chance we see our first 32 of the season next week, though, as the coldest air mass of the season moves in. And so by Wednesday morning, we should see widespread temperatures in the lower 30s. Interestingly, our Weather Service offices probably will not issue frost and freeze alerts once we get past November the 1st, even though the growing season technically has not ended yet. We haven't had a freeze just yet. Once you get into November, for all intents and purposes, of course, the growing season might as well be over at that point. So they probably won't issue any products for this, but nonetheless, our first freeze of the season does seem pretty likely, and not here, probably, but in some of the higher terrain to our east, across West Virginia, south central PA, up into some of the hilly terrain around Jamestown, New York, maybe down towards Bradford, PA, and points to the north. Yeah, some of the first snowflakes of the season may be found before next week is through. I doubt we see any of that around here, but you won't have to head too far to our east and southeast to maybe find the first snowflakes of the season arriving during the second half of next week. All right, now second half of next week on Thursday, just another reminder, November the 4th, Thursday evening on 21 News at 6. We'll do our first run-through of the winter forecast. That'll be the short and sweet TV version, 2.5, 3 minutes. We'll do that again at 11. But in between the 6 and 11, we'll put online the much longer, more detailed version. We'll do a blog post for those who maybe aren't much of a video watcher. They prefer to read. On ericwfmj.com, we'll do a written version of the winter forecast. One of the key ingredients for this year's winter forecast is La Nina. The trade winds down across the equatorial Pacific normally, of course, blow east to west, and that pushes the warmest waters near the surface of the ocean to the west across the central and western Pacific. However, sometimes these trade winds are a little stronger than usual, and they're so strong that not only do they push the warmest water well to the west, they what we call upwell colder water from underneath. The water underneath the ocean surface is quite a bit colder, and some of that makes its way to the surface, and so you get this tongue of colder than average water extending from the coast of South America onto the west. This is actually year 2 of La Nina. We had La Nina last winter, but not all La Ninas are alike. Some winter forecasts you see are kind of based on just kind of a generic, averaged out La Nina. But La Ninas can be wildly different. Sometimes they produce pretty warm winters in the eastern U.S. Sometimes we have a really cold one. And depending on a lot of factors, including where the tongue of cold water is located. Is it kind of banked up against South America? Is it more out in the east central Pacific? That's important. A lot of factors go into the winter forecast other than La Nina. Now, when we kind of factor in or average out all the La Ninas, which I have told you is not necessarily the best idea, but precipitation-wise, we see less variety in the precipitation department than we do in the temperature department. Again, sometimes we have a warm winter with La Nina, sometimes it's cold. Precipitation-wise, it's a little more consistent in that your typical La Nina, even if it's weak or strong or central-based or east-based, typically produces dry weather in the southern U.S., wet weather in parts of the Pacific Northwest, and also across the Ohio Valley. That doesn't necessarily translate into above-average snow, but above-average precipitation during the winter season. Again, when you average all the La Ninas together. But you don't want to paint with too broad of a brush when it comes to making a winter forecast based on just all the La Ninas in history, because there's a lot of variety. And so we look at a lot of other things, and we'll get into a lot of details on that winter forecast coming up in 1 week. Hope you'll tune in then. Thanks for watching tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening and Friday.